Hi guys, in the last video we implemented a chat and today I want to improve it. I want to let user enter their names and also edit them, and I want to display names of senders in every message and also a date when a message was sent. To refactor a little bit our room context, I want to split it in few different files, user context and chat context, so we don't have all our logic in one place, to make it more readable and scalable. So let's start. Here it is, our application. Don't forget that to run it you have to start your Vue.js server, your WebSocket server, and your client. I already started everything, and let's open a browser. Let's see. That's our application, and I just recently spotted a bug that when you just create your room and then click on the chat, you get this message: cannot read properties of null. It happens when we try to map through our messages in the chat component here. So why it happens? Because on our server we save our messages here in chats, but when we just create a room, we do not have this chat history. It's null, and we need to do it the same way as we do with participants. If there is no chats here, then we will create an empty array, and later on we will just push our messages in this empty array. But initially, when we open our room, let's try again here. When we start new meeting, yeah, now it works because we have empty array here, and if you send messages you can just see your messages. Okay, we have a helper here, a little mommy's helper. Dracaris, what you doing there? Oh yeah, we fixed this bug. What's next? And next I would like to, oh my god, Dracaris, you're so annoying sometimes. Next, I want to let our user, when he just wants to start new meeting, I want to let him enter his name. For this, we will need a new component. Let's call this common, and component will be name. And let's make it with a capital letter. I just want all our components to be capitalized. So Dracaris is here. If you just wonder, our name, there will be an input. To be a text input. So let's add some styles for it. We will do border because we want our input to be visible, with rounded corners, and a little bit of padding, and the height will be, let's do it 10. And as we want to put it above our button, our join button, our start meeting button, I want to add a little bit of margin here, vertical margin. And now let's add this button to our home page. We have this join component. Yeah, but we need to rename it. As you see, component name is join and the file name is create button. Let's rename it later. Now I just want to add our name input. And we need to wrap it in our fragment for React to be able to render it. Okay, let's see. It's because of our lowercase. Yeah. Now you can see we have a name, but I want it to be above our buttons, so need to add more styles here. To make it flex, and direction will be a column. Now you see we have an input, and let's put a placeholder to our name input. Placeholder will tell enter your name. I think it's quite simple. And we have our input. Now let's add our username. Again, we will use room context to handle it. We already have some states here, so we will add a new state. It will be username and set username, use state, empty string, and let's just send it to our context again. You can see it's quite big already, this file, but we will refactor it later, no worries. And yeah, let's rename this button. This create button should be just be join, and we update our imports. Hopefully it worked. Seems so. Okay, so now in the name input we will access our room context and get our username from there. And here on change, we will set username and value will be username as well. Here we have a typo, let's fix it. Okay, so forgot to import use context. Let's import it. Now looks fine. So we have our name, and I want this name to be saved in our browser. So if user comes second time, he does need to enter it again. There are a few options how to do it. We can save it in cookies, or we can save it in local storage or session storage. I usually save everything in local storage if it's not some kind of sensitive data, if it's not some token or information that we don't want to share. And if it's just some string like username or phone, or I don't know, something not so important, not so secure, then we can just save it in local storage, and that's what I prefer to do. So we will check if in local storage we have a username. and if not, then we will just set it to the empty string. And every time when username changes, we will save it to local storage. We will use effect for it. With only one dependency, username, and here set item. So now if we refresh our page, you can already see it uploaded the name from my local storage, but anyway, let's enter another name. Let's refresh the page, and it's still here, so our browser remembers the name that we used. So in our room page, where we have this call, join room, I will pass not only peer ID but username as well. We already can get it from our context. So let's do it. And how you gonna handle it on our server? On our server, in our server we have a join room handler that expects us to get room ID and peer ID, and we will just add username here, and we will also add another interface. And this will extend our room perhaps, and we will just add username with a type of string, and this string we will use in our join room. And now here where we save our participants on the server in array, instead of an array, we will use an object. And in this object, instead of pushing, we will just do it the following way. We will do peer ID, and it will be equal an object where we save peer ID and username. And we also need to tell here in our user joined event not only ID but username as well, so everyone everywhere knows the name of our user. And as you see, we need to change the type because TypeScript thinks that rooms should be an array, but I want it to be not an array but object, so we change this to a record, and it's a generic, so here will be a string. And here we will have a user, and let's implement this interface as well. Our user will be peer ID string and user name string. So that's what we want to see here. And as you see, we also have here a filter. Let's comment it for some time because I think we will not delete users from here. And again, here we will create a room and we replace it with an object. And let's start. We joined the room. We send our name. Now let's check if we are getting our username here. We will add it to the console log, and let's refresh the page and see logs of our server. It says user joins the room. This is a room ID, this is a user ID, and this is a name. Let's refresh one more time. And you can see that user left the room and then user joined again, but user has already different ID because we randomly generate ID for every user that joins the room. Even if it's the same person, just refresh the browser. I want to avoid this. I want to save user ID. So if user accidentally refresh the page, he join the room again with the same ID, and he can see his messages with his name and with his ID. You can see if we're typing it here, it shows that it's your own messages, it's on the right side. But now if we refresh the page and open chat again, it will tell us that it's someone else's messages, because every time user joins to the room, it joins with a new ID, so we can't basically say to user it's your old messages. That's why I want to avoid this behavior, and I want to save our user ID to our local storage as well. Here in our favorite room context, where we create a peer, let's find this place. Yes, here you can see we generate ID. So now we will not generate it every time. First, we will check if we have saved ID in local storage. Let's call it saved ID. So if we have it, we will assign it here, and if we don't, then we will just generate a new one. Let's save our ID to local storage again. I don't know what Dracarys is eating there. Maybe she decided just to eat me alive, to let me know that I don't feed her enough and she's hungry. So user ID, and let's save this ID. So now let's check. You can see our user in logs. Okay, now it joins with ID undefined. Strange. Let's just delete it for now, and let's refresh the page. And now we have our proper ID, and we join with this ID, and if we refresh page again, we will join with the same ID and it will be the same user. And again, let's write some messages and refresh, and you can see our messages still belong to us. Next thing that we're gonna do is to let our peers to know names of each other. And again, in our room context, here where we have our user joined event listener, when user joins, we call him using our peer.js server, and we pass peer ID and stream. And here we can pass a third argument, metadata. And in this metadata, we can just pass our username. So on the other side of our application, user will get it. And here on our call, we can read this metadata in call metadata username. And we can pass it to our peer action and add a name. But I suggest we will just use different action. This action will work when peer starts to stream. And here we can pass another one when we just get the name, even if peer doesn't start to stream yet. Let's dispatch our new action. Let's call it add peer name action, and we will pass peer ID and name. And we need to add this action. Let's go to our reducers and to our peer actions. This one we will rename our add peer stream action. It will add only stream. And we will add another one, add peer name action, and to get our username. And here we will add another action as well, add peer name. Let's import our peer name action. And why it's not happy? Add peer action, we do not have such one. We have add peer stream now. And we replace it here and here. And it wants us to add a dependency username. Let's check if it works. Let's duplicate our tab. But the thing is that now when we duplicate our tab, we basically connect with the same user, the same ID, and as you see, it doesn't work anymore. So we need to use different browser. Say we will use Chrome in incognito. We will allow it to use our camera, and let's name it Chrome. And now let's just copy our meeting ID. Does it work or not? Now it works. It worked. Very good. So in our peer we have only stream so far. And what about this one? Still doesn't work. Okay, we get the username. Of course, I forgot to add the switch case for our add username. Let's do it in reducer. Add peer name. And here, instead of the stream, we will just save our name. Oh, and again, our reducer somehow not happy. I think it's because our peer state, it says we have only media stream and its required argument. Let's change it. Let's say it's not required, and username as well. And now it's not happy in our video player. We'll just
do it this way. If there is no stream, no video. Yeah, we should have this name here, but why we don't? I see why. I see. It's because here we just override our peer. We need to add this. We need to add the old data from our peer first, and then merge our new data with an old data. And same for this username. Now let's try again. We have username, and yeah, in our peer we have username. And what about this tab? In this tab we don't have, and I know why. Because here we save username only when we basically answer the call, and we need to save it here as well, where we're just calling the user when it's joined. And if you remember, in our server we added here a username for this event user joined, and here we can get it. But yeah, just make sure it's not overriding anything. We will change it to the name, and we can dispatch another add peer name here. Just peer ID will be this one, and username will be this one. So let's see. Do we have anything? Okay, somehow it does not refresh here. Okay, so now we have our username, our Chrome username for this user, for the second one. To make it more obvious, let's do something else. Let's go to our room page, where we iterate through our users, our peers, and show video player. So here, where we iterate through our peers, we will wrap it into the div. We will wrap it into the div and add another div here, and we will show our peer username. Let's check it. So as you see, we joined with our incognito, and we can see our username here, name of our friend, and here we have another name of our peer that is in another browser instance. And now here, for our own video, I want to add an input where we can change our name, and this video should be okay. This is for screen sharing, and this is for my video. Let's put this name input here, the one that we created for our homepage, and we have to wrap it in the div as well. My laptop just gets so slow when I'm trying to work with WebRTC and to record my screen. It's probably related with WebRTC because it has some issues with CPU consumption. So you can see we changed our we added our username here. And now when we have our usernames saved, we can add them to our messages. Let's go to our chat bubble, And here we can just get our peers list. From this peers, we can get an author of the message. If you remember, in this field we have an ID of our user. And now if you want just to show our author here under the message content, we can do it easily. And here, if the message sent by us, if its itself is true, then we will just show you. And if we have our author, we will show author. So you can see here we have you, and here we have an error. Let's see why. Objects are not valid, React child. Ah, yes, I have to use username here. And let's take a look again. Let's do it this way. Username. No. For username, and let's put it here. And if there is no username or author, we will call it anonymous. Yeah, but now it somehow thinks we don't know the sender. Let's just reconnect. Okay. Yeah, now it finds the name, and if we put some message here, we also can see the name. Let's just style it a little bit. Let's make it look nicer. Again, using our class names library and Thailand CSS. I just want to align the text. And we could make the font size a bit smaller. Maybe like this. Yeah, it's maybe too small. And another thing I want to do is just to add time to our message. It's very easy. We have timestamp already, so we can just add another div here. Sorry, my laptop again slows down. So let's create a time for our message. We could use a library, something like Moment.js or another one, but here I don't want to add additional library just for one date. So we will use what a JavaScript can offer us. We will format our timestamp to local time string. And we will set it here. Let's take a look. Yeah, just want to make it smaller as well. And to align it the same way as we did for the username. So let's copy it and we'll make text XS, and let's make opacity 50% just to not distract too much users from our content, from our main message. And how does it look now? Now it's better. I'm satisfied how it looks. But another thing I noticed here is that our user from the second browser tab is not always connects, and I think it is related with our stream. And when I was testing this with Safari, I noticed one bug in the implementation, that for example you joined with your Chrome browser and you started streaming, and then you joined with Safari, but in Safari you doesn't allow your browser to use camera by default, and it asks you for permission, and after you allow, it doesn't stream to your peers. It happens because we basically get the join user message before we have our user stream, and here when we start calling the user, we don't pass our stream to it. That's why it doesn't work. So solution, the easiest way I found to fix it is here where we join the room. Just wait for our stream to start. So our user will join only when he starts streaming, and we pass our stream to dependencies as well. It's probably not the best way, but it's the fastest way, and for now it's okay. Let's check it again. Let's refresh this page and then refresh this one, and yeah, we're getting our video in both browsers. Okay, so we fixed it, it's fine. And we have our chat, we have our messages, and as you see, now it says anonymous for one of tabs that I closed, and the user was deleted from our peer list. But what if we want to save username in our chat even if user quit the room? What if we still want to have it just for our other users to know who wrote it? In such case, we have two possible ways to solve it. One way is to attach a name to every message object, so even if users are gone, our message still contains information about the author. But if user in room decides to change the name, our messages in such case will still have an old name, because it will be saved for every message. It won't be a reference to our username. And another way to save it is to keep our users always with us, not to delete them, just to delete their stream when they quit the room, but leave their name in reducer. So let's try to do it. So in our peer reducer, where we have remove peer action, we will rename it to remove peer stream, and instead of deleting the peer, we will still return the entire state, and for the peer we want to delete stream 4. We will just set stream to undefined. And here we will replace all the constants and in our room context we also fix everything. Okay, let's test it. Let's open another tab and open a localhost to give it a name. And let's copy our link to the room. And we will write something. And you can see we have a name, Chrome name. Now we close the tab, and this doesn't become an anonymous. But you can see this is frozen because we need to delete our video from our room if there is no stream. But it's easy, we can just filter it here in our room. If peer has stream, we show it. If peer doesn't have stream, we don't. But again, if we refresh our page and our Redux state is gone, we have these annoying anonymouses again. How could we fix it? If you remember that we save our participants on our server, and before we never used this list of participants that we save on server, and now it's time to use it actually. We just can, every time when user joins, we can send him a list of participants whoever joined this room, and they will still have all their names, and we can display names in the chat from this object, from this list. We will create a new action, add all peers in our reducer. Let's do it. And type will be add all peers. And payload will be just peers. And in our reducer, we will listen to this action, and let's add it here to our actions type. And we have to copy this as well. So when we add all peers, we just return current state and all the peers that we have. And now we have to dispatch this action where we get our participants. I think we just have on the log there. Okay, what happened with remove peer? I think here we should have just a remove peer. Yeah. We have this function get users where we get our participants from the server, and it's just an object. So we will dispatch our Redux action just here, but we're not getting this string array here now. We're getting something else. Let's check what we're getting actually. We're getting an object. I don't know what is this null actually here. So we're getting an object, and we have to put this type again here. We should actually make an alias for this type, but later. So now we have to dispatch it, add all peers action, and we pass our participants here. And it's even, should work. Let's take a look at our peers. Yeah, and now if we open our messages, you can see that all our messages have their authors. There is no anonymouses anymore, only fair named senders. Yeah, that's what I wanted to make. And yeah, let's check if we still can add new users. Let's open another tab. Yeah, but when we want to enter the name here, it doesn't appear here. That's what I want to fix as well. So we need to introduce a new event when we update our name, our username. We want to send a message to the server and let everyone, every peer know that one of them changed the name. The best place to do it, I think, is this use effect that updates the name in local storage. Here we can also write as emit, and let's call our message change name, and we will pass an object with peer ID that will be me ID, and we will pass a username, our new username. And on the server, we will listen to this event again.
And I think we also need to pass a room ID here, just to know in which room we want to change our username.
And we will also emit to everyone in this room event that name was changed, and we will pass here peer ID and the new name. and here we need to add our type. And here on the name changed, we will listen to this event as well. And we will dispatch an action to our reducer. Change peer name, and the same data will be passed. Now we need to create this action and add it to reducer. We can actually use this action. We don't even need to create a new one, I think. Let's just use this one. Peer ID and username. Yeah, we don't need an object, we just pass parameters like this. And we can check if it will work. Something with our server probably. We are not sending the room ID yet. We forgot to add the room ID to our change name handler. It's here. But now I actually think that probably better to split this use effect in two and leave one just for saving the local storage and another one for changing name. And let's restart our server. And we probably have to check if we have everything here. So now it works. Just when we initially change our name, when use effect fires, when we still do not have a room or something else, it breaks our server. So I added these checks just to make sure that we're not sending undefined room ID there. And now let's try to change it. And you can see we change one name and it changed in another tab. And we change another name, it also changes. I just want to fix the size of this input because it is too big. Let's do it this way using our great Tailwind CSS. And now it is not too big. So yeah, we added our names. And in the next episode, we will try to refactor our messy code a little bit because I already feel a bit uncomfortable with it. But that's my way, that's how I usually write a code. first I write a lot of messy code just to make it work, and after it I start to refactor it and to make it look nicer and more readable and more optimized. So in the next video we will do it. So stay tuned, subscribe on my channel, hit the like button, and see you later.
Hey Dracarys, what you doing? What you doing? Hey, stop eating my cables.